reflecting on today. And in this chapter, James begins with by saying, "Not many of you should become teachers, my fellow believers, because you know that we who teach will be judged more strictly." Now, you may reflect on this in your own way, but the way it has impacted me is that each one of us, at one point or another, will be in a position of influence and imparting knowledge to others. And rather than it discouraging me for from teaching or influencing other people, it's for me, it's like a caution, uh, to understand that naturally, when you impart knowledge, when you try to influence somebody, when you try to teach somebody, give them advice or share to them what you know, you will be weighed and measured in relation to what you say or teach. And you can be called out in the process. People may think, "Oh, is this person really meaning what they're saying? Are they living up to what they're teaching? Are they applying it themselves?" And if you're in a position that is over somebody else, whether in your job or in your home, you're in a position of influence, of knowledge over somebody. You're a parent, you're an older brother. Your life will be subject to verification. People will, by nature, people are looking for someone to look up to, or unconsciously they look at other people, and if the people is supposed to be a person that is setting an example, that is a person of authority, they will subject that person to verification, and they will sort of evaluate, this person is saying something, but is it true in their lives? And for me, I make a note of that verse as a caution towards authenticity and against hypocrisy, that we must aim to be authentic. And even when we share something, we make people aware that, from experience, I've made this mistake, and I'm sharing it to you, that blah blah blah, this should be, you should do this, or you should be more inclined to think like this. And look, um, don't be afraid to be vulnerable with people and roll with people and say that, I'm trying to do this myself, but I'm having a hard time following through with it. But from experience, I've learned that this is uh, how you should think, how you should approach this matter, and things like that. Anyway, let's go to verse 2. "We all stumble in many ways, and anyone who is never at fault in what they say is perfect." Perfect here means complete, fully mature, fully capable, able to keep their whole body in check. And so look at that. From verse 1, James goes on to say, well, we all stumble in many ways. And now James is entering his main topic, which is the speech life, how people talk, what people say as a Christian. And the book of James is all about practical Christianity. It's a very practical book. And if you want to teach yourself, challenge yourself to be a better, not really a better, but a more authentic Christian, trying to live up to one's faith and being just trying to please God and lead people onto the right path and be an example, maybe to other believers, or just, just try to live the Christian life right. The book of James is a good book to study and reflect on. And now, going back to verse 2, it is likely very rare to find a person that does not make a mistake or falter with the way they speak. Like, personally speaking, you may be different, but me, one day passes and there's always something that I would regret saying, or there would be something that's wrong. There would be something that I would say that is not right, not accurate. That's so hard. And if you are able to do that and you are fully mature, and it takes awareness and constant presence of mind to keep your whole person in check, especially the way you speak, you know yeah. So, well, that's the goal. uh that is the goal, especially as a Christian. And yeah, we need to be more aware and have a constant presence of mind that we don't offend people, discourage people, put them down with what we're saying and sharing to them, and always to try and be truthful and speak truth to other people, and even to ourselves. Let's go to verse 3. It says, when we put bits into the mouths of horses to make them obey us, we can turn the whole animal. And sorry, this goes together with verse 4. Let me go there. Or take ships as an example. Although they are so large and are driven by strong winds, they are steered by a very small rudder whenever the pilot wants to go, wherever the pilot wants to go. Now, let me just highlight those two. Let me put that notes below the second slide. Now, look at this. We can turn the whole animal, right? In verse 3, and in verse 4, they are steered by a very small rudder wherever the pilot wants to go. Remember, this is now James is going to relate it to the tongue and the way we speak. And in both verses, it's talking about a direction, like how you direct the animal, how you direct the ship. And what does that tell you? It tells us, that speech can totally alter the direction of not just a conversation, but a relationship. How sometimes in a conversation you say something and the conversation just shifts, but it's not just sometimes the conversation that is affected, but the relationship itself of the people talking. It can alter the direction of a life. It can change your influence towards making a change in one's decision. So what does that tell us? What you say can influence or affect your hearer in so many ways. Let me put that down. What you say can influence or affect the hearer in so many ways, right? Your speech can totally alter the direction of not just a conversation, but a relationship, ultimately a life and a decision. What you say can totally make a person change his or her mind about something, about what they're gonna do and what they're not gonna do. Me personally, I tend to just, listen more and take everything in. I'm a very in public, okay? In a group where it's not my family and it's outside the house. I often just listen and I take a seat back and just observe. I rarely talk because I tend to just process what people are saying, try to reflect what they mean. I observe and try to notice how people are really inside and pay attention to what they say because that gives a lot of, clues to how people really are on the inside, when you listen to them and you catch them thoughtlessly sharing things. So anyway, I'm I am cautious when it comes to speaking in a group because I don't want to be saying things that I don't mean or things that are not productive or beneficial to the hearer. So there is a warning. Uh, and I'll talk about that later because it's a different verse that takes us away from James. So anyway, it takes one untruth to ruin your credibility. You read? For people to be repelled and stay away from you. It can totally change a relationship. What you say, and you say it once, and yeah, you can never take it back. So yeah, it steers people towards you or away from you. That's what the verse is saying. It takes one judgmental or negative speech to push people away or to bring them down a bad path. So, as speakers, whatever we say, especially as a Christian, we must be cautious about what we say and aim to speak life, speak truth, speak humbly, and practice temperate, how do you say it? Temperate speech. You know, temperate, controlled, well evaluated, level, uh, coming from a level headed person, that you thought about it carefully before you share it. It's very important as a Christian, as a child of God. Your words mean much. So be careful what you say when you say it, to whom you say it. Speech can turn a person's life and perception around, so watch what you say. Think well before you share, and most importantly, understand why you want to say it. Weigh if there's a need to even say it. Like, what's the reason why you're wanting to say this? Are you wanting to retaliate, take revenge, uh, just react, or are you wanting to encourage? Are you wanting to understand and be understood instead of just lashing out in impulsive anger or reactionary stimulus as a reactionary stimulus? What is your end goal when you speak? Do you want to impress people? Do you want to hurt people? Do you want to encourage? Do you want to inform? Do you want to guide? Do you want to lift yourself up? So you know uh, yeah, there's so many things that we must consider before we um, say things. Let's continue. Likewise, the tongue is a small part of the body, but it makes great boasts. It's a small part, but it can do great things. Consider what a great forest is set on fire by a small spark. Yes, the tongue is also a fire, a world of evil among the parts of the body. It corrupts the whole body, sets the whole course of one's life on fire, and is itself set on fire by hell. Yeah, James is just, yeah, being real here that when uncontrolled, it corrupts. It leads to sin. It makes you sin. It sets wheels in motion. Sets the whole course. It gets the ball rolling positively toward the right path, or the bad one, or a bad one. And you must understand the evil, a world of evil, because you know why? Satan uses speech for evil, and you can be an instrument of his schemes and plans by the way you speak. And that's why it's very important that our speech life must be yielded and surrendered and consecrated to God. Because on its own, our speech can't wait to do wrong. What does the next verse say? Let me put this down. It says, all kinds of animals, birds, reptiles, and sea creatures are being tamed and have been tamed by mankind, but no human being can tame the tongue. You know? No human being. And that's it's important to highlight that, because without God, without surrendering and yielding it and consecrating it to God and allowing ourselves to be controlled, changed, transformed by the Spirit, we'll be in a lot of trouble. Our tongue is the most accessible tool and weapon we have to do right or wrong. It's a ready tool to hurt and lash out in anger and just retaliate. And it can be a tool and a weapon of peace. And that's why James says, with the tongue, we praise our Lord and Father, and with it, we curse human beings who have been made in God's likeness. Out of the same mouth come praise and cursing. My brothers and sisters, they should not be. As a Christian, look, we're not perfect. That's why it's very important that we understand this, our own limitations, that with the same tongue we can just sing praises to God and talk spiritual things, and then 1 second later, just be angry with the next person, be angry at the next person. Out of the same mouth can come praise and cursing, encouragement and discouragement. And James is saying this should not be. The Christian must have a converted tongue. The whole being is Christian, saved by grace through faith and walking in newness of life. So James is saying, get a handle on the way you speak. Get a handle on the way you speak. Um, let me skip those two verses there and go straight to here. Let me share to you before I end my reflection on this particular passage. James 1:19. He says, "Let every man be quick to listen, but slow to use his tongue and slow to lose his temper. And Colossians 4:6 says, let your conversation be always full of grace, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how to answer everyone. And let me end with this. I put these two verses in because it's an important, these two are important to tying up what James is trying to say in this section of James 3. That, that's the way you get a handle on yourself. That's the way that you can control and, have full awareness and a constant presence of mind uh, with the way you speak. Um, First, practice to be quick to listen. In another version shared to me by during the small group that I was doing this study with, the translation there is wise to listen. Listen. Some people, okay, 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 I'll listen first, but they just can't wait for you to finish what you're saying and just, flash out or just blurt out what they wanted to say. So the translation that says, let everyone be wise to listen, it has the idea of, okay, listen and listen with a desire to understand and get a grasp of what the other person is trying to communicate to you. And so not just, okay, okay, I'll let you say what you want to say, and then I'll, have a go at you. No, aim to wisely listen so that you can understand and get the other person's point of view. And be slow to speak and slow to lose your temper. And in Colossians, which many believe that Paul is the author of, he says, when you speak with one another in your conversations, be always full of grace. Look, let your speech be seasoned with salt, so that you may know how to answer everyone. And um, full of grace here means, be kind when you speak, you know, and be really kind. Ellen was called up for for saying be kind to one another, but yeah, um, people are saying she's not really kind. But anyway, why did I even think about that? Anyway, when you speak, aim to be kind with what you say. I mean, why would you wanna, as a Christian, you should never want to hurt anybody with what you're saying. The aim of, speaking should be to communicate a truth, to communicate understanding, to express yourself, and not to hurt other people or put them down. Should be positive in every way, because that's how God will want you to speak. That's how God will want you to be sharing something to others. And look at that, seasoned with salt. So what does it mean when you season something? When you season something, you're enhancing a dish, right? It doesn't say over season, because if you put too much salt, nobody would want to eat that. So it has the idea of just putting the right amount to enhance something, to better something too. So that's what you do when you speak. If the desire is to enhance what is being communicated, the fellowship. Um, yeah. And lastly, so that you may know how to answer everyone. So that you may know how to answer everyone. So that you may know how to properly speak with everyone. And answer here in the original has the idea of responding, not reacting. So, be kind when you speak, um, enhance it properly, uh, be productive in what you share, what you say, let the conversation be productive and beneficial to people, and tasteful, not distasteful, so that you may know how to respond in words to everyone. So, yep, that's it for James chapter 3, verses 1 to 12. Feel free to share some more in the comments below. Thank you, and God bless all of us.